And we are live. This is the live stream. And this live stream, as you know, it's a boxing live stream because there's a huge fight coming up on Saturday. Canelo Alvarez with the 168-pound super middleweight title on the line against Jermell Charlo, who's coming up from 154 pounds, challenging to be the champ. And we're about to have our panel together as it kind of piecemeals its way through. You know, there've been invitations given out to people, and one of those guys just joined us. Gunner's
What's up, Gunner?
How y'all doing, man?
Good.
We just getting this conversation started. A huge fight coming up in the boxing world. Canelo, as you know, Alvarez, 168-pound title on the line. Jermell Charlo moving up 2 classes. Has some physical advantages, but not exactly like Bevo. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a great fight. I'm super stoked for it, man. You know, Jermell is from over here in Texas, man. So I'm super stoked. He's one of my favorite fighters in boxing, man. So I'm super excited. He's definitely going in as an underdog. I'll say that. It ain't. Yeah, it's. I don't think this is a 50-50 fight, man. I really don't. A lot of people are giving him a lot of edges that I really don't see. A lot of physical edges that you're speaking of, man. A lot of size advantages. He's very slim, man. Jermell's not a dude who's really ever even used his size at 154. I mean, he's a guy who pressed the action to get in your face, but he's not. He doesn't really resemble me of a guy who uses his size and his strength and his athleticism to his. You know what I mean? That's not his style, in my opinion. So I really don't see those advantages that a lot of people are speaking of. I think those size advantages are still in Canelo's favor, and. Yeah, man, I think Jermell really does have a lot to overcome. But I think that he does have advantages in the pocket. I think that in the pocket, I think Jermell is actually the more diverse fighter. And I think, yeah, in my opinion.
Wow.
What do you guys think?
Well, I think in terms of size, it's factual that he's taller and he has longer reach. And I think that's what people are referring to. Now, obviously, he's fought at 154. He's coming up 2 weight divisions. Canelo's fought at 175. So he's been fighting at heavier weights. What's up, Paul?
What up?
You got the Ring Dragon in the
What's
house.
going on, y'all?
What it
How y'all
is?
feeling?
Good. We're just talking. Gunner started it off talking about he doesn't see the size advantages that people are referring to. And I was clarifying that I think they're referring to just the height and reach, because obviously he's not a bigger, stockier guy. He hasn't fought at higher weights like Canelo has.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's Coach.
Hey, everybody in the house tonight, except for Andre the Boxer, who can't be around, and the Boxing Prophet, who got COVID. Come on, man. You're supposed to be fighters. Fight with COVID. Come on here and talk about it. Yeah, we talk about this huge fight coming up on Saturday. As we already know, we already addressed it. Canelo Alvarez, 168-pound super middleweight champ, taking on the current junior middleweight super welterweight champion, Jermell Charlo, one of the Charlo twins. All the advantages they're talking about in terms of Charlo with his height and his this and that. He says, well, people don't know, I'm a big guy too. Yeah, when you're walking around, when you're not training, it's different when you have to really come down to your fighting weight and be at your very best. And be sharp and all of that.
Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's another thing that people don't know, that these guys they have to make weight, they have to cut weight, because a lot of these guys they walk about 15 to 20 pounds heavy, and when you cut that weight and it's fight time, it's a whole different thing. I've been there as a fighter, and I have fighters that done the same, and cutting weight is, people don't know, that's one of the hardest things in boxing.
Yeah. It can make you feel sluggish, mess with your reflexes, all those things if you're not doing it right. Most people come in, the people who are extremely serious about the game, typically you want to be about 8 to 10% off your weight during the time you're not fighting, so you don't have to cut as much. But that's for the high-level, disciplined fighters. And then the talent and all those other things that come with the territory, the training and preparing and all that.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, so what do you think about these supposed advantages, size-wise?
I mean, okay, I can tell you this. competing, and I didn't compete boxing. I trained some boxing, but I didn't compete in boxing. But the martial arts situation, I was almost always the shorter guy, and rangy guys, it's a pain in the ass. I'm just saying, my life, it's a nuisance. Having to do what you got to do to get up underneath, and you know what I'm saying? Like you got to pay so much more. You know what I mean? It's like imagine going to the movie theater and you got to pay more than the next man to get in. Like it's not fair. You know what I'm saying? Like why is my ticket $3 more than this guy? But you gotta do what you got to do. So I feel like the weight thing may. I mean, I obviously I've not been in camp with either of these guys, so I don't know what their preparation is. My concern is I got a buddy of mine who goes to we drop our kids off the same school, but he used to box and stuff, so he's like my boxing parent that I talk to. I'm hoping that for Canelo's sake, for Charlo's sake, I don't want him to come in heavy. I think he should come in fresh. Like at this point, you get to eat. You don't have to cut a lot of weight. You don't have to drain a lot of water and dry out as much. This could be good for him. He's been at 54 for a hot minute. You know what I'm saying? This could be, if he doesn't try to mass up and become a full 68 pounder, this probably could be good for him, to be honest, man. I think when he because how old is he now? He's the same age as Canelo, right?
Just about, I think it's close.
So it was probably tougher for him to continue to make 54 when really he probably should have been at 60 by now. If he should come in, if I'm him, I don't come in at 68. I'm looking to weigh in at maybe 65. Just come in feeling good. You know what I'm saying? Just come in feeling good. If you don't have the pressure of worrying about the scale quite as much, now you can hydrate plenty. I think this could be good for him. With the size advantage thing, that length and height is good if you use it. You know what I'm saying? Like, think Lennox Lewis before Stewart, and then after. You really using the height, using the range, then it's a problem. When you got a guy that knows how to use it, that's a pain in the ass. Like I was saying before, it's a nuisance. If he really is using that stick, I think that could be a problem. Are we touching on Canelo yet, or are we just gonna? Because I we love to bias. We like to talk about. We enjoy.
We're just getting started, but Gunnar had mentioned that Charlo does not use his size, his reach, his height to his advantage, as you're mentioning Lennox Lewis did.
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't use his height and his reach as much as he needs to. You see a lot of like the Castano fight. The first one especially, man, he gets into a lot of firefights. And I think that he's really good in getting into those firefights too. But I think with the guy with Canelo who's just going to sit back and pop shot you all night, use head movement, and who's really good at not using his lower body a lot, but using his upper body a lot and just getting out of the way of those shots. And he doesn't exert a lot of energy and he doesn't overextend. I think that whenever you get a guy like that who doesn't overextend a lot like Canelo and doesn't exert a lot of energy into those combinations, you can get caught. And Charlo's a guy who's, I don't want to say he's not slick, but he's not hard to find.
He doesn't fight that way. He doesn't fight like a slick fighter.
That's not a smart fight for him to do. For him to be smart in this fight in particular, you would like to know or believe that he knows going in that regardless of what he's saying out of his mouth, he knows he's the smaller guy. Canelo can bang and Canelo can hurt you. We've seen him do that against guys big because Canelo moved up himself eventually to get to 168. We've seen him batter guys. And I think going back to Gunner's point, Charlo doesn't fight his height. He's one of these emotional fighters. He and his brother fight a little bit more disciplined. I think he's more emotional. So if he hears the crowd respond to a shot he got hit by, he's going to try to get back instead of staying smart and staying focused, using his jab right hand. He'll get into those firefights. It even goes into off out of the ring. Like Errol Spence talked about, the Charlo twins, they got to say everything back to people who say things on social media. Same thing here in the boxing ring. If they hear the crowd, ooh, for a punch that maybe look good to them, he has to get back. And then he gets reckless. He gets careless. And with a guy like Canelo, even though I believe he's slipping and the Ryder fight proved it, I think that those heavy hands at 168 still hurt a whole lot.
Yeah. I agree a bunch. I'll say this, though, man, is Charlo is a dog. Jermell Charlo is a dog. And I think that he's going to be there all 12 rounds. I don't think Canelo is going to put him out, man. And I think that there's going to be a lot of situations where Canelo does get hurt in that fight. And Charlo's going to make Canelo feel him. And I do think he has a lot of advantages in that pocket if he's going to be in Canelo's face. I think that he hits just as hard as a lot of guys at 168, man. Charlo hits like a tank.
Do you guys think, like, judging on, and I know press conferences and stare downs, I don't put a whole lot of stock in those things, but sometimes it may be a key to demeanor. Like, Charlo looked real chill, not overly respectful, but he looked kind of poised and a little more mature. You know what I mean? At the press conference, like, is there a chance that demeanor is kind of giving away his mindset heading into this? Like, this matters more. One of the things I was talking to Buddy about is that the hunger levels and the intangibles for me are really, really interesting for this fight, because there's no way I believe that Canelo wants this W more than Charlo does, because it matters. Like, this isn't going to matter. Nobody's going to make a big deal about him beating Charlo, a guy moving up 2 divisions. They're not going to really give him a ton of praise for that. But the flip side is they will have to give him a certain amount of respect for doing this if he pulls it off. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like the hunger's got to be a thing here going in. This is his biggest moment. I don't think he'll have a bigger fight in his career than this. This is the one. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't see the hot-headed Charlo at the press conference, and I don't know whether that's just respecting Canelo, or are we seeing perhaps a turn the corner, more mature version headed into the fight. And I think if that's the case, we're probably going to see a more disciplined game plan. There are guys, because as y'all guys were talking about, fighters have tendencies and sort of, personalities, as it were. It is possible. I was thinking about Diego Corrales when he actually boxed instead of banged against, was that Casamayor I'm thinking of? When he was really using the stick. Was that a Casamayor fight that I'm thinking of? I'm getting old, y'all. You got to forget. But Goosen really had him using the jab and actually using range, and that's not really what Diego used to do. But it's possible. I don't want to because I bias. We're in the same category. We got criticisms about Canelo, but I don't hate him. I hate his business choices. I hate some of the way the career moves, but I enjoy watching him fight. I don't want to act like I'm just trying to make Charlo be somebody that he's not. But I feel like the book is out. Canelo has a long career that everybody's been able to watch. They have to have put together a game plan for this, right? They can't just go in. They have to, right? Like, no back against the ropes. You got to use the jab. I mean, I don't know how long you can keep the game plan together, but they have to go in with a plan here, right? Like, it would be crazy if you did. If you come in there think you're going to outgun the guy, it's going to be a problem.
Well, one other thing to consider is Canelo's been fighting bigger, slower guys.
Right.
Now he's fighting a guy with quicker hands.
Right.
I think Charlo, if he can take his punches, he should be able to win the fight, because we've seen Canelo get outboxed by lesser boxers.
And gasses too. He gasses in the second half,
got caught and couldn't take the power. If Charlo can take the power, avoid a lot, avoid damage, I think he can win the fight, at least to the fans' eyes. I don't know if he get it by the judges.
He's a liver dog than people are giving him credit for.
No,
I'm
he's a
gonna
live
tell you
dog for real. There's no question about being a live dog.
This is a better fight than folks are probably giving credit to. This is a better fight than that, man. And stylistically, you know what? I know we all love boxing. No matter what happens, this is going to be fun. There's no way this could be a stinker. I don't think that's possible.
Nah.
This is not the way these two match up. It's impossible that we don't have some good television going on like that. I
think Jermell's better than most of the top 5 at 168. I do. I really believe that. You look at the past 6-7 guys that Canelo's beat. You're telling me that Caleb Plant, Billy Joe,
Beefy.
You're telling me those guys are beating Jermell? I mean, there's great fights. Those are great fights, but I got Jermell in every single one of those.
I'd like to see him versus Plant, though. I'd like to see that. I would like to see that. I like Plant.
I'm still looking at it from the standpoint of those 2 weight classes, man. That matters so freaking much. Those 2 weight classes moving up, from people that are outside looking in, they probably don't really put a lot of stock into just how much and how difficult it is and the power of a fighter. Canelo's known for beating guys at 168. He hasn't been at 154, 160 in quite some time, but he's been known to hurt guys at 168. He's moved up to 175 and couldn't hurt Bivol, but he can hurt someone. So now you have someone from 154. Sparring helps get you acclimated, but getting in the ring when it matters with fight gloves on at fight time and taking those same shots. I'm curious more than anything because I believe Charlo is a live dog. And I believe that if he goes into this fight showing the maturity that Dragon just said, I think that works. Because that means if he showed the maturity, he's not fighting with his emotions anymore. He's going to go and probably use the ring like Lara did. He has the ability to do it. Keep focused and use a boxing plan to outbox him. If an opportunity for a knockout, which I don't think is Canelo, just if nothing else, Canelo could take a punch. If he could just stun him, move, sting him again, move as Canelo plods forward, trying not to overexert himself because he knows his own conditioning issues. I think Charlo has a hell of a chance, and it can possibly get past the judges because Canelo is not on the back nine, but he's approaching.
Yeah.
So hang on. Speaking of conditioning issues, let me ask you, Coach, because Canelo, he's been saying last few fights he hasn't been able to train because of his injuries, and that has affected his stamina. Do you put stock into that? Do you think he's making excuses?
Anybody that fought and anybody that's been in the game knows that you're never 100%. And sparring and stuff always jacks you up, injuries and stuff, because I have been lucky, maybe 1 to 2 fights, I was 100%. Same thing with my fighters. Everybody's dealing with everything, and he's 100% correct. He's an old vet. He's not getting no younger. And the only way that I see people beating Canelo is it's box. The formula for Canelo is if you stay outside and box, you could beat Canelo. But if you trade with him, it's a mistake. He's an old dog. He'll lead you in there and he'll set traps. And the only way I see him losing this fight is if this kid boxes, because Canelo got all the moves in the world, and he's right. He's right. Injuries. I mean, if you go back with Floyd, if you go back with all these guys with hand injuries, elbow injuries, hip injuries. I mean, I talk to fighters. If you look at their hands, their fingers are all crooked. You know, it's just it's part of the game. This is the hurt business. So 100%. I had a guy the other day. He couldn't run. He ended up having a heel spur or something from running, and it sucks. But you can't cancel the fight.
So let me follow up, because he says in his most recent fights he hasn't been able to train, but he says Saturday he's good.
Well, that's his job. How much is he making?
I don't know.
That's pretty good. Anytime you're making millions of dollars, I'm good too. So because people don't understand that money talks. You know,
but they're asking him. So were you able to train for this fight? Are you in condition? And he's like, just watch Saturday. I am. And I'm asking, should we believe him?
Well, I did see some of the training. I saw some head movement. I saw some stuff that he hasn't been doing in a minute, and he's going back to the drawing board. And that's one of the things I love to do, is to do the homework on these guys. What are they doing? What are they working? And I think he's going to look impressive. But that's just my opinion. And I'm not a Canelo fan, but I just believe sometimes guys like this have the last hurrah, because we both know he's on his way out. You know, I don't know. There's guys that get that overnight get old, and we both seen that. So.
It's funny that you were saying that, because when I looked up, I was making the kids dinner, and I looked at the time. I was like, "Oh shit! It was like 8 minutes till time to do this." And I was thinking, I was outside on the front porch, and I was thinking, like, is this going to be the night when he gets old? Because the thing is, I get concerned. I don't remember seeing Canelo, like when he was at 54. I don't remember any clips of seeing him drinking or playing golf. Like, as we've moved to this latter leg. Like, there was a couple of them, he was drunk and kicking somebody out. They were doing the karaoke and stuff. I mean, he seems to have been chilling a little bit and not totally living the fighter lifestyle. Is that going to catch up and affect your conditioning? Because, you can't drink and fight. Well, some people can, most people cannot. You're Roberto Duran or some shit, maybe you could get that off, but I don't know. Is that going to play a role? Like, he cannot get tired on Saturday. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Right.
Tired in the second half. If Jermell's still there and you're tired, that's gonna be a problem. That's gonna be an issue, man. Because I don't think
Jermell seems like a guy that gets stronger too as the fight goes on.
Well, I'm sorry to hear.
Jermell's, in my opinion, is a guy who gets stronger as the fight goes on as well.
He does.
Yeah,
He does.
Yeah.
He got that dog in him.
Yeah. But you're right. You said something that's correct. You know, what did Rocky's trainer said? The worst thing that could happen to a fighter is becoming civilized.
Nice.
Right.
And I saw one time I was with my dad watching Roe Jones, and he was going to fight Tarver, and they were putting on his shoes. And my father turns over to me, and he goes, "That's not a good sign." And they were putting on some silk socks for him, and he got knocked out that night. So you're right. When fighters get soft and they start drinking, and I did see that video where he was drunk with his daughter and stuff.
Yeah,
and you're right. I haven't seen Canelo like that. And
let me throw in one thing too. So I have a buddy of mine. I'm not going to put him out there because I don't know how much he. You know, you're not supposed to tell about the gym. I wasn't in the gym, so somebody could just say I'm lying if I'm lying, right? But I have a friend of mine who did 2 camps with Canelo not too long ago, and apparently he was doing well. And I know that Canelo's been bringing his wife and his kids to the gym. I watched a video earlier today where saying that maybe that's not necessarily a good sign of a guy who's really focused in. You know, the daughter's coming over and giving you hugs and kisses in the midst of doing stuff. Like it just seems to me like he's on a victory lap, or perhaps does he think maybe that he's not touchable to a guy who's coming up in weight? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if the Canelo I enjoyed was the guy who seemed hungry on the climb, and this guy feels to me, it seems like he's really comfortable with his status, but I don't know if he's prepared to still work like a hungry guy. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't seem to me like anyway, my buddy, I think, got the best of him from what I heard. His wife was there, and then he got booted out of camp. So I don't know if I'm just wondering if this is going to be the day, man. It's coming. If it isn't Saturday, it's coming soon.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's coming soon if it isn't Saturday. And he's already talking about fighting the other Charlo after this. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not trying to put the bad juju in the air on him, you know. But I have a sneaky suspicion this is going to be a closer affair than a lot of people are really thinking. I just don't think he's got the hunger. It's the intangible parts. I could see him unloading hard counters on the rope, you know, having Charlo on the ropes, digging to the body, maybe even hurting to the body. But I don't know if the hunger is there to. Fighters aren't like video games, you know what I'm saying? Where the video game character never loses stats. The stats just are what the stats are. So anytime you pick that character to play on Fight Night, EA Sports, it's the same Canelo. But fighters are human beings, and I don't know if this is going to be the same guy. Like we just talked about earlier, everybody's in the best shape of their life before the fight. Everyone says that. I mean, that's been like our whole life of watching fights. Everybody's in the best shape. But are they? Are you for real? I don't know, man. I'll tell you this. FanDuel gave me like $80 on them. I did put some money on the underdog. Like it's $3. It's $80 for free. I'd be a fool not to go ahead and take the free money and put it on the underdog. So I do got some bread. I got something that I'm hoping for a little bit. I'm on sports, guys.
I'm thinking about the wear and tear as well on Canelo. 15 years old. That's when he started boxing as a professional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 147 pounds. He's been in the game for a long time. He's fought almost everyone. He might have fought the people we wanted him to fight when we wanted him to fight them. But this guy's gone through the ranks. He's gone through the weight classes, won the championships. He gets beat by Bivol, still went to 175 to take that beating. And then he comes back down. He fights John Ryder. Maybe that could have been the final hurrah for all we know. Because we don't know what. Because we're just looking at that as, man, for the first time, really, that might be Canelo slipping. We don't know what the next chapter would be against Charlo. If something real drastic happened, we could look back and say, wow, maybe that fight before was the fight in which would have been his last hurrah in front of his home crowd who wanted a knockout. He tried to give it to them. It didn't happen. And not only that, Ryder, who was knocked down, beaten, and battered, had moments later in the fight against Canelo because of Canelo's fatigue, the perpetual fatigue he has towards the end of fights, with Charlo being a young boxing guy because he hasn't been around and been through the grinder as Canelo has since 15. I think that's not where you want to be. Like Gunnar said, you don't want to be tired if Charlo's still on top of his game, because you don't want to look at the other guy across from you and see that he's fresh and you know you're fatigued. it plays those mind games. And I know Canelo's been in this scenario so many times. You know, the more you're in it, the better you know how to cope and disguise how things should be. But it comes to a time to where you don't have a say in the matter. The better fighter does, and it could be that one night.
Do you guys think the Bivol fight is going to be on his mind? Do you think that he's going to enter his mind into this, or do you think that's not? You think he's put that past him?
Well, I think if Charlo comes out and doing the jabbing, because you know he has to watch what gave Canelo the biggest issues. That's the fight he's watching. He can say what he wants out of his mouth. He can claim he's going to ice somebody, knock somebody out. But if he's watching that video and he plans on doing a lot of what that video showed, if he's doing that and it's working, it can't help but go into Canelo's mind that, man, here we go again. And he's going to either have to press, which is going to make him exert more energy, which he doesn't want to do, or it's going to make him go out of character.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I think we all know this is going to be a war. This is not going to be a chess match. These are two guys that like coming forward, and that's the only advantage I give Canelo. He knows how to fight in the trenches, but if he starts boxing, it's going to be a hard night it's going to be a long night for Canelo, especially if he uses the reach and moves and stuff.
Yeah.
But have any of you guys seen him box? I haven't seen him box.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He doesn't
really.
He never uses it.
Early in his career, he was more of a boxer, right? Because like the punch power didn't really come till he got with Derek James, right? Like, I mean, he earlier on when he had the braids and all that, when he was a little bit more on his boxing game, right? I think it's in him. I think he knows he's got to do that Saturday. I don't think he thinks he's going to be able to just whoop up on him. He's going to have to box. I feel like that's true.
Well, there've been fighters in the past who were boxers in the beginning, but then they fell in love with their power when they realized they could finally get to that plateau and knock fighters out. You know, one of those fighters, believe it or not, was Donovan Razor Ruddock. He was an excellent fighter, boxer at one point, but then when he started doing that upper hook and putting people to sleep, we know him as Razor Ruddock put people to sleep instead of the fine boxer he was before he fell in love with his power.
Wow. That's wild. Damn. But I didn't even know that about him, man. That's why. And he's got the range. That's crazy. That was a big, tall, long, strong guy, man. Like, I didn't even know that about him. Wow. When I think of him, I think of like Michael Dokes out for like 7 minutes or whatever that was.
Exactly. He knows that too. He's the one who did it. So he's like, yeah, we're putting guys to sleep now. And he went on from even before that, but that was the fight that highlighted him as being the power puncher that people believe that he was. You have the name Razor. The reason why he had the name Razor is because he was a great boxer. He could cut you up by just shooting shots. Then he became that power puncher. But I'm saying Charlo, I'm thinking that if he decides for this one time to fight intelligently, the Bivol fight is the blueprint you need. But it also requires some talent. It requires some grind because you're going to have to move. You're going to have the conditioning and the legs to keep away from Canelo. Canelo wasn't going anywhere unless you give him reason to go somewhere. And Bivol gave him a reason because he was just physically big across the board. Now we have a younger guy, a lighter guy naturally, now doing the same thing. Even if he doesn't, I think he can hurt Canelo a little bit, but I don't think he can hurt Canelo more than Canelo's ever been hurt before, even by Triple G.
Do you guys think we might be giving Charlo more credit than he deserves? Because Tim Bradley says it's going to be a blowout. He doesn't expect a close fight at all.
Well,
Tim Bradley.
Couple people have said that already.
I struggle listening to Tim Bradley. I struggle. Because, you know, it's not that he doesn't know his stuff, but speaking about emotional guys,
he's biased.
If he likes somebody, you can't tell him anything. It's super hard for him to be objective about anything. And it's really, really tough for me to listen to him. Like, I wish I could get him off camera and maybe he would just be himself. Like, I don't know if he's trying to do his like a poor man's Teddy Atlas when he gets on there. I don't know what he does. You know, we're firemen. I don't know what he tries to do. But I don't know if I can trust what Tim Bradley's saying, man. I don't know. I think this is the fight of Charlo's life, and I think this is the one. They've been saying, both brothers and Andre, you know, they were all at 54. They're around the same time. These guys have been saying they wanted this for a long time. And I don't have any reason to disbelieve that. There's a big cash cow. You get to prove yourself again, a name and the money. I feel like he would have had to have this is the one. This is the moment. Another interesting thing, I watched a video Fanon made earlier today, and you know the Charlo brothers they love each other, but they've got a tumultuous relationship, and apparently they're not really talking right now, that kind of thing. And an interesting point Fanon made was bringing up where Jermell was saying a victory here separates him from his brother, and it's just funny when you take certain things in the ring, like Buster Douglas and his mom dying. Certain things can drive you that you really want something. You know what I mean? It's more than the money. It's maybe more than the moment itself. That could really be a thing, a one-upsmanship on his brother, or just the separation. I'm not little Charlo no more. Maybe I don't know. It's just going to be interesting. I get more caught up in the intangibles than the technical stuff at this point in the game, because these are elite fighters. They got great trainers. They've got great people behind them. I think the intangible stuff is going to make the difference on Saturday. Will the moment be too big for Charlo? Will the pressure, or sometimes I'm really curious. I'm really curious about the intangible stuff, man, because I can't imagine Canelo being that hungry. I just can't see him wanting this a lot. It seems like another day at the office.
I think you have a point there with the intangibles, because I look at what Tio Lopez did with Josh Taylor not too long ago. The previous fights is the reason why I picked Josh Taylor to have an easy time with him. I wasn't even thinking about the things that Tio was going through with his family, child support, a child battle, court and all that kind of stuff with his wife, ex-wife, wherever it is now. And those things are an issue. I've dealt with those things with fighters in the past who have those things on the outside, those intangibles you don't think about that has nothing to do with the X's and O's of boxing. But when it gets in the ring, things fall apart. And for people who didn't know those things existed, they're wondering, how come it's night and day? Tio, I thought was shot. And then he comes back after all those things were settled, takes care of that business so easy. And then he talks about at the time, okay, now I can see my kid, I can take care of this and that. Oh, damn, all this time you was dealing with that, man. We didn't even realize that. Now you got
But the smartest thing he did was go back to boxing. He had fallen in love with his power. Like you mentioned,
100%.
He went back to boxing, and that's why he was able to beat Taylor the way he did. He wasn't just going forward trying to knock his head off.
Right. And going to intangibles, man, Taylor just seems like a dude that just steps up on the moment. Like when the moment is the brightest, man, that dude shines the brightest. Like that, that dude is the definition of a superstar, man. I highly believe that. I mean, look what he did to Loma. I mean, you run that fight 10 times. I don't know if he beats Loma 10 times, but all that matters is that first time right there. It's the moment. Man. And he seems like he's a dude who steps up. Like we're saying, man, Charlo might be that. It might be his too.
Gunner, I can tell you this, I got that one where I picked Tio going into that, and I was very happy about that, because everybody I was talking to on we was doing a little live and all that kind of thing, and everybody I was talking to acted like I was tripping, but I'm saying I think this is the moment guys start to get to that place. You're not all flat out old, but you're older, and there's a talent there that, you know what I mean? It gets to a place. This could be that kind of thing, man. It really, I think Canelo might look, even if the judges see some favor for him and maybe do him a little bit of favor, I think there might be some fucking booze at the end of this. If Charlo's still standing at the end of 12, there might be some booze at the end of this, regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're probably right on that.
Yeah, dog. Because I feel like Canelo would have to get Charlo out of there, because that second half looks bad for me. Canelo's been wearing that knee brace for years now on that left leg. He's been wearing. That's part of why I think he moved up, because those guys are slower. You know what I'm saying? So now it won't be quite a thing. They're not going to move as much. If you're picking guys that are kind of European style 1-2 guys, they're not really light on their feet. They're not moving around. You know what I'm saying? I'm so curious about this. Like, I'm surprised it doesn't seem like the buzz is super hyped for this fight, but like, I'm very interested in what's going to happen Saturday. Like, I feel like I'm going on the boards and stuff, and people are still talking about gossipy nonsense. There's a big fight Saturday. The buzz doesn't feel like it should be for this. This is an interesting fight, man. This is going to be interesting.
With you. Usually I watch All Access. I haven't watched a single episode for this fight.
Wow,
I might watch it Friday night to get ready for Saturday, but I don't know why. I see it on YouTube. I'm like, let me find something else.
Yeah, the buzz doesn't feel like a big fight is just 2 days away. Doesn't feel like it, but I'm excited. Me personally, I'm excited. I'm serious.
Yeah,
They said they did a $20 million gate, which is insane. That's like that's Gervonta Davis.
Where are they? Where is it actually taking? Is it in Vegas?
T-Mobile Arena.
Yeah, I think so.
T-Mobile Arena.
See, now that's where they pardon my language. That's where they effed up right there. That had Dallas Stadium written all over it. What?
Yeah,
A
man.
Charlo and Canelo in
Canelo
Texas,
don't want to
man.
give up home field advantage like that, though.
Yo,
Yeah, right?
you know how many Mexicans will be at that stadium?
I'm about to say that's pretty much split down the middle. That's split down
It's
the
gonna
middle.
be Charlo will be the underdog in that stadium. Nobody gonna be yelling his name. You're gonna hear a whole lot of Canelo action going on in Texas, bruh.
I think I agree. Yeah, I think you probably get more Canelo chance, man. These people.
Yeah, dog. Like I'm just talking about from a financial place. That's a win. It's a ton of Mexicans in Texas, and Charlo's from Texas. That seems like
Football
a
season, though. It's football season. Maybe
I
that's
mean,
Yeah, you're right.
well, you know how I feel about Dallas, so I don't, get them out the way. Throw real sport in there.
So is this a huge upset if Charles was to win, or are there excuses of, well, it was going to happen? We saw how he looked against John Ryder, at least Canelo, how he looked against John Ryder, and now he wears a knee brace, he does this, he does that. Well, he might have been drinking, he might have done this. Is it a big deal? I mean, it's a big deal, but is it a huge deal? It's not Boston Douglas, Mike Tyson deal. But where would you rank this if he were to win?
I think based off of what everyone seems to be saying, I don't think we'd be surprised. It would be an upset, yes, but not a huge upset.
Charlo's only a 2-1 underdog, which is, I mean, that's an underdog, man, but that's not like crazy.
That's closer than I expected.
Yeah,
that's almost even.
Yeah, 4-1 would be something I would think that would be going in. I think it's still
the smart money comes in late though too. We'll see. Smart money they're not always right either.
Yeah, they're not
I think it's a shame because
Ryan Garcia got the smart money and that didn't work out too well.
He got that internet money. But these two guys, I think they can't help but put on a great fight on Saturday because of their styles. But I'm thinking that Charlo, come on, anytime you go into any fight camp, and I think Coach can attest to that, you go with what you believe gives you the best opportunity. And if you have video to see that your opponent was beaten or even dominated like Bivol did to Canelo, this is the fight you look at. This is where you pick and prod. You don't use a De La Hoya blueprint. You use what you have, and you saw that it worked. And he has those intangibles to go out there and try to execute it. Can he handle the power is what it's going to come down to. Because you can look as pretty as you want to look, just like Billy Conn did against Joe Louis, until he wasn't looking pretty and he lost his opportunity.
There you go.
What happened here?
And it's funny because I train fighters, we got game plans and stuff. But Mike Tyson said it the best. Everybody got to plan until they get hit in the face.
Yeah.
And,
very true.
And if he gets freaked out about the power, it changes the whole thing. I have guys that come back to the corner, and if they hurt and stuff, you just see it in their eyes. I'm like, hey, you need to do A, B, and C and stuff, and they staring into space.
Yeah, they're not even listening to you
because of the power. But if he feels the power and he could deal with the power, it'll be an easy night for him. But there's guys that think, and the thing about Canelo is just not to the head. He goes to the body as hard as to the head. Because sometimes a good body shot will make you doubt your ability.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm worried about that for Jermell because he's got kind of a long torso like that. That's where I can see him getting hurt. I'm not even really worried about a headshot. I think the body shot might really be it. And Coach, you're right as shit. That's the worst. The worst pain I've ever is the body. That's the worst. Your head. Look, your head is what registers the pain. So if that gets discombobulated, like there's been times the lights have started to come in, but it doesn't hurt. That doesn't hurt because you don't feel nothing.
People don't know that.
Yeah, your head, when you're almost out, you don't feel nothing. It's just
numb.
I was like, oh shit, the lights, it literally does that little dark in the corners and came back out type of deal. But it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all.
The dudes who hit the hardest, it always feels like that.
Yeah, that body shit is terrible. That's the worst.
Yeah. A good liver shot, it paralyzes your whole body. And there's guys, don't get me wrong, because Baez asked me this a long time. Do a lot of guys go down with body shots? I've been hit with body shots that I haven't been going down, but it locks up my arms. It doesn't let me move. It doesn't let me throw punches because you get tighten up the whole body that it doesn't let you do a lot of stuff. And that's the thing that Canelo got. He still got that. You know, the last thing for old fighter to lose is his power.
The power.
So his power is going to be there, but his reflexes and his speed, it's going. He's been in so many wars. I mean, it's crazy.
And as far as that liver shot goes, you know, when you get hit in the liver, it actually, for a split second, takes away the oxygen going to your brain. That's why a lot of people do freeze like that. Oh. And then it's a delayed reaction a lot of times because that oxygen stopped just for that 1 second. You see guys take this body shot and then they kind of freeze, just take a knee, or they just go flat out.
Yeah. It's no joke.
Awful.
It's no joke. People don't understand that because everybody was crying about Garcia. And everybody was like, "Oh yeah. He faked it." But people don't understand. You have a delayed reaction. You just don't go down because, like you said, it takes a second to go to the brain, and once it goes to the brain, it's like your body just shut down. And that's the only thing that I see. Canelo, he still got the body shots, and he still got the power. But we both know, everybody knows, that he could be outboxed. That ain't going to be no surprise if that happens.
You know, the dudes that talk like a body shot is nothing have clearly never been hit with a body shot. They don't know. Punch me in the head all day. I mean, I'll take that way before. A nasty body shot is horrible, man. It's horrible. And there's no way to look cool about that either.
That's why De La Hoya wore a chest protector against Fernando Vargas.
Chest protector. Yeah, Roman's chest protector. Man.
He had that thing up around his neck just about, man.
So do we think the ref is who? Do we know who's the referee going to be for this?
I don't even
Good
know.
question. I don't know.
Well, Canelo's an A side, so that means he gets the ref, he gets the size of the ring, he sizes the glove. I don't know if you guys all know that, but that's how it works in boxing. I freaked out when I found that out. I'm like, damn, I didn't even know about all that stuff until I got into pro boxing.
Yeah. I'm just curious because some refs have a tendency to maybe over officiate, and some will let action go. Some of them will let guys work on the inside a little bit. I'm just curious if that may play a role in Saturday night. I hope not. I hope not. I love the refs that you don't even know are there. Those are
right now.
Those are the best.
Right here. I looked it up. It's Harvey Dock from New Jersey coming to Las Vegas to do this fight.
Wow.
Nevada is the first meeting of 4-belt world champions in boxing history. The Nevada State Athletic Commission has assigned New Jersey's Harvey Dock as referee for the clash, which takes place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. So, Harvey Dock.
Was it Nevada or PBC?
Well, Nevada, the commission picks the referee.
Are you sure about that?
Everywhere, allegedly, the commission.
Then how did Kenny Bayless get every Floyd Mayweather fight?
Exactly.
Because the commission is making money, I guess, as well. So they're picking them. Yeah, but I always known that the commission picks the referee in huge fights like this. I mean, it's the same thing. You know, I know people go after the ref and then they go after the promoters and then they claim the promoters are influencing the Nevada commission. You know, there are some real reputable commissions out there. Nevada's one of them. New York is another one. Pennsylvania has a great one. So, and even Jersey with Atlantic City fighting the way it does. So, this is another case of Nevada picking their ref and bringing him from Jersey. That's more surprising to me.
Yeah. Wow. I'm curious, man.
I think everybody's thinking this is going to go 12 rounds. I don't see it a blowout. I don't see. I could see somebody getting dropped. I could see somebody getting hurt. But I just see it going 12 rounds. These guys are tougher than nails, both of these guys. Yeah. So. I mean, if there's a knockout or something, I'll be shocked, especially if it's Canelo. His chin is pretty good.
I don't know about that. Canelo's proving himself.
You know what?
He's not getting knocked out.
I could see this, and don't call me crazy, right? Especially, I'm not even gonna bring up the last pick I had, but Canelo might quit on that stool though. He's not gonna get stopped. Listen. If things aren't looking good, we can always do a PR spin about my shoulder, my elbow, my whatever. Look, guys that have a big reputation, they want to save that. You know what I'm saying? Those kind of guys aren't going to go out on their shield. He's not going to take a a whooping. He's not going to do a Fernando versus Tito and fight all the way to the death to the 12. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to do it like that. If things are looking bad for him, I would not be shocked to see him not come out. I wouldn't be like 11 between 11 and 12.
Well, I remember Chavez did it against De La Hoya. Didn't he quit?
Right.
But you know what? And now looking back on it, and I was just listening to what Dragon was saying about a little earlier, you know, how these fighters get in a position to where, you know, they've been fighting for a long time. But I think with in this case here, I'm thinking looking back on with Canelo drinking and this and that, and these stories coming out now, the latter part of his career, he's not necessarily looking like the same guy. That's what happened to Chavez. We find out now, even from Chavez's son, he was already a cocaine addict. He was already an alcoholic by that time. And maybe that was the culmination of all of that. Now, if Canelo's going down that same path, this could possibly be it. If he does quit on his stool, I just think he has way too much pride. We know Mexican fighters, man.
Yeah, but everybody was shocked when it happened to Chavez.
Yeah, but once again, it goes back to those drugs and everything else. So
no, without a doubt, we didn't know about it back
then.
Yeah, we didn't know about it then. The media was not like it was now. But you're right. That's a great. I didn't even think about that because these guys are just world-class fighters. But anything can happen at this stage.
And if Canelo didn't go down that route, if he's not doing it as hard as Chavez was doing it, I just can't see. Not in a million years can I see Canelo just quit on his stool with all things going his way or not going his way. He would just take the beating like he did against Bivol because he could have done just that because he got beaten that decisively. So I think that he just has too much pride. I think Mexican fighters, period.
I think the difference could be. I think the difference could be against Bivol. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get him eventually, like I got planned, like I got Kovalev, like he had been doing, like he did Saunders. Not that Saunders was outboxing him, but Plant was. Kovalev was doing decent. He was jabbing the hell out of him. But if it happens again Saturday, now doubt creeps in because like, oh shit, it's happening again. Yeah. Am I gonna catch him? And late in the fight, like, damn, I hit him and he didn't go anywhere. Now it's different. Now it's 2 fights in a row.
Yeah, that's true.
We're actually 2 out of 3.
Well, I was coaching with some good coaches. They were telling me once a fighter got to L or once they got a knockdown, it's easier to get another L. It's easier to get another knockout because you're right. That doubt in your head goes, oh man, I'm going through the same thing, and your mind goes into survivor mode. And I was freaked out because I had a couple guys on Prove It. He goes, no, this dude got an L. You just got to put pressure on him, and it happened. I mean, you don't realize it when somebody's telling you the story, but when you see it in the ring, like, wow, you freak out. So when you guys see guys with L's or guys that have been knocked out, it's almost easier the second time around or the third time around. So that's 100% correct what Bobby said.
You know, and actually looked a little easier for Bud when he just fought Errol Spence. Once he got that first knockdown, they just started coming more and more, and he was getting more and more dominant along the way. So it kind of lends itself to that as well.
Yeah, can we change the subject real quick? Is that fight going to happen at 47? Somebody was saying.
Yeah, Bud said he wants it at 147.
I haven't heard from Errol yet.
So Steven Espinoza addressed some of the contractual language, and basically, from what I'm understanding there's another Fanon video earlier today, and from what Steven Espinoza is saying in terms of the language and the stuff written in the contract, it still has to be a discussion. Like from what he's saying, Bud doesn't just get to outright say, I'm only fighting at 47. And Errol can't just demand that this has to be at 54. This would have to go back into a sort of, I don't want to say mediation, but it has to be, per the contract, it has to be discussed. It's not flat out in either man's favor. Like, I think in hindsight, it's 2020, and I'm not trying to be apologetic. I'm an Errol guy, obviously. But that man did not look correct. For one reason or another, that did not look like the Errol I'm used to seeing. And I think 54. Floyd was saying he should go to 60 and not even fight at 54.
I did see that.
Yeah, so like, my money, I bet you this happens at 54. Because I think Terrence Crawford, remember we was talking about this? Terrence was walking around with all kinds of garb on in that hot-ass weather. I think he struggled to make weight a little bit too. He could do it better than Errol, but I mean, he was wearing all kinds of shit when they were doing the arrivals. He was still towels and hoodies and all kinds of shit leading up to the fight himself. I
Yeah,
bet
he's
you this
cool.
happens at 54.
My
Man.
only
I bet
question
you this
is,
happens.
at 154, no belts can be on the line. They're
Yeah.
fighting just to fight.
Well, there's a lot of money. I mean,
There's a lot of
look,
money there, and whoever wins that fight gets an opportunity, whether it's going to be Charlo coming back down, and now Tim Shu, who's going to be the champ once Charlo walks into the ring on Saturday
They can
night.
fight somebody, man. Earn it in
I
the
know,
ring.
right? That would be the easy way to go about it. But you know what? He's going to bring that money because of his name. You know, he has a whole country behind him as well. So I wouldn't mind seeing Bud taking care of that business too, or even Charlo coming back down taking care of that business.
you know what? I don't want to see Charlo do that, though, because at 33, 35, what is he? Early 30s, mid 30s? Don't
33.
go up 2 divisions and try to come all the way back down. That's gonna be
That's
bad.
that Roy Jones deal.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Point.
When you're young, you know, if you're 24, you might be able to pull that off. Not 34. You better not do that. This is why I was saying that Crawford, whether it's an easy win in a rematch or not, this is his best option from a timeline place. If you're talking about fighting Canelo, and Canelo's already said he's not doing that, you're too little for me. You're talking about fighting Jermell. Jermell is fighting on this Saturday with the other guy you said you were going to fight. The timeline doesn't make any sense. He doesn't want to fight Boots for whatever reason. I'm not going to say anything crazy. I'm just saying he doesn't want to fight Boots. If he no longer wants to fight at 47, it's got to be Tim Tszyu or what? Danny Garcia or something. Matter of fact, he just said he wouldn't fight Danny, and he said he wouldn't fight Thurman. So what do? You have to fight Spence now. I mean, from a money place, there's no one else. I mean, who? If it's either Spence or Tim Tszyu at 54, because Jermell is tied up, and I don't think he's coming back to 54. I think that would be a terrible idea.
I agree
Canelo's
with
not going to fight him. That's what he has to do. I think the Spence thing has to happen, and I'm almost betting it's going to be a 54, man. Because where else does he go? And I think Boots is a nightmare scenario right now. To be honest, I just think it's.
Well, I think Boots should fight somebody like Virgil Ortiz, anyways, because Boots, you know, I think that he has all the talent in the world, and if Bud or Errol Spence wasn't there, he'll be the undisputed champ right now himself. But I think he needs that hallmark name on his, another guy, another young lion like himself, try to get to that number 1 spot with either Bud or even Errol Spence. He needs to take on Virgil Ortiz, in my opinion. And then
didn't Virgil had that scare. I don't think he can make 47 himself anymore. I think he said 54. I think Oscar was saying that his next fit will be at 54 because I think he hurt himself trying to make 47 that last time. Didn't he have a scare or something?
Yeah, he fainted or something.
Bro. He's having a lot of health issues. Yeah. He stays like 20 minutes from where I'm at, man. I've heard he's got issues going on. Yeah, but
that's what I'm saying. I feel like Crawford's in a place where, at least from a timeline, and again, he's like 36. He doesn't have time to wait around for a lot of dust to settle. He's got to make a move. If it's not Errol, which is good, you're going to get more money from Errol unless you plan on going to Australia. If he goes to Australia, you can make some bread. You're not going to make a lot of money with Tim Tszyu here. You know what I'm saying? You better.
That's my guy, but he ain't no way he's going to Australia. He's he's
they
the A
him out
side.
there, man. They're gonna be a war.
He's the A side. He ain't good. He ain't traveling around the
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So it's got to be Errol makes the most sense, especially if I just whooped a guy, I'm gonna make more money fighting the same guy. That's what I'm going to do.
Like Devin
Nobody
Haney
else is available. Nobody else is available except for Boots. And he counted out. This is where I think Bud is crazy. To say you're not going to fight Thurman, and Thurman is waiting to be plucked off of a tree. And I'm not disrespecting him, but he's super inactive. Fight Thurman at 54. Fight Danny Garcia, who's already at 54. But he said he's not going to fight those guys. So,
but now Thurman's talking about a catch.
I don't think they do anything for him. There's no motivation there.
Oh, but there's name recognition, and Danny holds a win over Crawford in the amateurs. It's a built-in thing. You're already with PBC, these established names. He'll get paid. He'll get paid fighting those guys. There's enough buildup. I mean, more than Tim Tszyu. People know Danny Garcia more than Tim Tszyu. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's not Errol, I say do Errol again.
There's more bread to be made fighting Tim Tszyu than it is to fight Danny Garcia, who hasn't won a big fight since when? So
but he's got. Look, but that's how name recognition goes. Like, Keith Thurman has been waiting to cash out on his name for a minute. He's just looking to cash out. Those guys still have names.
They give him that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean,
get the cash way down there.
You see, look, he did some of this to himself, man. He could have had those fights a long time ago. If you got your own promoter is talking about how much money he loses on you and shit like that, he did some of this to himself. Man. He could have had some of these fights earlier. I think Bud is a tremendous talent in the ring, but his business acumen needs a little sharpening. Him and Andre went to the same business school, apparently. They make some horrible ass business choices for themselves. Talented guys, though. I like to watch them fight, but they make some horrible, horrible business choices, man. I don't think he's got anywhere to go but Errol. Errol makes the most sense financially and in terms of in the ring. But Tim Tszyu not. I just don't see that bringing a whole bunch of bread. People don't.
How many fights do Bud has after that? Because he's already said he's not chasing 50-0. He's not. He doesn't want to be in the fight game much longer. It took him this long to get to this point to get the money, and you see the lifestyle he lives. He's not today's athlete. You know, he's made a lot of bread for the last fight, and he's still in the same neighborhood. It's a good neighborhood, but he's still that down-home guy from Omaha, Nebraska. You know what I mean? And there's nothing to lead you to believe that if he got that huge money from another fight, that things are going to change too much different from that. He just seems to still come across as the family man, the boxer, and he can have a hell of a legacy. He proud as hell as Omaha, did some great things there, has his own program there. There isn't much left for him anyway. 1 or 2 fights is good enough for him. He could walk into the sunset.
Call it a day.
Yeah, I give him 2. I give him 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give him 2, man. I don't
because
think
unfortunately, like the timeline for the big fights, those big kind of cash out fights, I don't know what's available. Like he might have a Jermell situation, but see, look, if let's say Jermell wins Saturday, there's a rematch clause. He's not gonna be able to go dance with Bud immediately. He's gonna have to do it with Canelo again. So what else is there really for him to do? I think you guys are right about 2 fights because there's no.
But Bevo, there was a rematch clause for that fight, and
find a way around it.
Canelo was saying, "I'm giving him the same deal." No, not the same deal. That was code for I don't want to get my ass whipped again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, 75. Look, Canelo's shorter than me. Like I'm 5'9" on a good day. You know what I'm saying? So like, 75 was a bridge too far. I don't know. That wasn't a good idea. Certainly in hindsight, it's easy to say that, but that just wasn't a good idea, man. Those guys are tall as shit. Light heavyweights are tall. You can't walk in there 5'8". The light heavyweight, you're asking for trouble. That's a rough way to go.
The White Braxton / the White Muhammad Kawi, 5'7" was handling those dudes. He had that reach, though. He had the reach of a heavyweight, but man, it was tiny shoes without bending down. He had long arms.
That's a rare bird, man. That's just because, them guys they shrinking down to 75. You know what I'm saying? They walk around. Those are 200-pound dudes walking around.
Yeah, people don't realize that those bigger weights, it's much harder to move up, man, because that power really starts gaining.
Yeah.
A difference.
Yeah, that's whenever that size advantage really starts pressing into the action. It's not like moving up from 126 to 130 whatsoever.
Right. No,
you got to be a special fighter to pull it off. Even Chris Berg going from middleweight to heavyweight and even being as effective as he was, still a marvel. Still a marvel.
Yeah,
so let's get these predictions in. It got dark on Gunner over there. We can't see.
Man, my bad, man. I just got off work, man. I'm an hour from my house still. Yeah,
it's cool.
Heck yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to go with Charlo, man, by decision. Split decision, because they're not going to give him the unanimous decision. I think he's going to do enough. I think he watched the video, as I said earlier, of Bevo. He has a lot of the Bevo stature in terms of the height. He has the long arms. He hasn't fought like that before, so that's another facet he can bring to the table with the element of surprise. Going in, outboxing him. Lara did it years ago in 2014. I think that if he focused on this, and the maturity he's shown is because he knows he's going to do something different, I think that's the reason why I could give him a split decision at 12.
I want to go with Charlo, but I don't know. I think it's going to be much like some elections. Charlo wins the popular vote, but Canelo wins the electoral college, meaning the judges.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Bias. I think that it's going to be a lot closer fight. I think that Jermell's going to have a lot of moments. I think that he's going to rock Canelo in at least one round. I think he's going to have a moment where he has Canelo on the ropes. However, I don't see the judges giving him the nod. I think that I'm not saying that Canelo's going to have the judges in his pocket, but we know how it goes, man. And if this is a super close fight, Canelo's going to get the edge right there.
I just don't want to hear 118, 110. Then we know it's
Yeah, right. We know it was built up before the fight started.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm also going with Canelo being in Vegas. He got if it's going to be close, they're going to give it to Canelo. And I just think it's his last hurrah. He looked good in the gym. And and a lot of times if guys are looking good at the gym, they're going to look good in the fights. But he's been in wars, so anything could happen. But I just think this is the last one for him.
And you know when you go to the restaurant, you go to the restaurant and everybody else is ordered, and you're like, shit, I still don't know what the fuck I'm. Because just like you guys are saying, I really feel like Jermell's going to put on a performance that maybe he should win the split decision. But if there's a split decision, I think Canelo will actually get it. Which is that. Do you think they'd have the audacity to call a draw in a fight that Canelo maybe should have lost? You think they pull that off?
The safe way out. That's the safe way. I mean, didn't that happen with you?
It's possible to split draw.
So I'm trying to think should I talk to the boxing gods about my FanDuel bet? Because I got my FanDuel money on here. If I put it out into the universe, is my bet gonna fall through? But with my brain, I feel like, and I hate to just sound like I'm copying everybody here, but I think Canelo's going to win a decision that perhaps he might not totally deserve. But I tell you what, I know I'm gonna hit y'all up about 6th round. If shit is looking a certain way, you're at least going to hear from me because I'm like, yo, this is about to be a fucking problem. I'm gonna have to go ahead and say I'm gonna say Canelo's gonna win a tight decision too.
Emergency show, something like that happens, man. Emergency show at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Saturday night.
Man, see, man, Bosh need to be around here to hook them beans up, man.
I can send you the recipe, man.
Is it gonna have the same magic touch? I've never made these before, man.
I'll tell you what, my friend, I gave him the recipe. He called me up. He's like, they're all right. They're not like yours. And then a few months back, I was showing him and another friend. I walked him through it. He's like, oh, see, I chopped up my onions. I was like, no, I sliced mine. I don't know if it makes a difference, but that's what I do.
If you send it, I'm gonna follow to the letter of the law. I'm gonna do exactly what you're doing because I need some of that action going on.
Yeah, because I told him slice the onions, slice it lengthwise like this. Yeah. And I was telling my other friend, you chop the bacon and I look and he's chopping them. I was like, yo, what do you do? I said slice, not chop. That's why your shit didn't come out right.
Let the flavor, let it marinate.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, Danny.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, welcome.
Everybody.
Appreciate you, brother.
Take care. Enjoy the fight.
Take care.
Fight's coming, as you already know, this Saturday, T-Mobile Arena. We talked about it. We'll probably come with an emergency show if the fight ends a certain kind of way. We probably can't.
You know, man.
Like that. But in any event, catch y'all afterwards. See you next week if there's nothing sneaky going on.
All right, take care, fellas.
Take it easy, man.
Hey.